right, welcome back to the Dallas-Fort Worth Entrepreneur Mastermind Podcast. I'm your host, Logan, and today we have Victor Johnson.
That's right.
Can you tell me a little bit about your business, how you got started, where you're at now, a little bit about your passions, things like that?
I do a lot of stuff.
I saw your business
a lot of
card
titles, yeah. So I'm a real estate investor. I'm also a certified credit consultant, so I help people raise their credit scores. I'm a public speaker, so I speak at a lot of colleges and high schools to young kids about financial literacy and how to manage their money going into life. And then, of course, I'm also a published author. My book is called Proven Pathways to Wealth and Happiness. So those are the main things that I do, but I have a lot of little monikers that I have.
Do you sort of see it as like foundational peers? Because I mean, all of those things are subtly just the pillars of wealth, right? It's understanding money, investing in real estate.
That's right.
Credit. I mean, all of those things are the most important things.
It's my exact personal journey. I spent 15 years of my grown-up life with horrible credit. I was managing call centers, collection agencies, by the way, and I just wasn't paying my bills the way that I needed to, making 80, 90 grand a year, but living check to check. And what was that? So again, that was part of the passion for me starting this business. Help people get out of that credit rut, start building their income base, and then, of course, investing to build wealth.
Awesome, yeah. So for our podcast, what we're most interested in is motivation and passion. You clearly have a lot of that. When did that journey start? So you said you were managing call centers, just sort of the regular 9-to-5 sort of thing, and you kept feeling money move through your fingers like water.
Yes.
Did you have a moment, like an aha moment, where you figured it out, or you just knew something had to change?
There was several, and it was just a repetition of weekends that were happening.
Punches in the face.
Punches. But there was one particular weekend that just like really set everything off for me. I was living in Atlanta at the time, and I had a small young family, so we had like 3 teenagers, 12, 13, 14-year-olds, and we would drive to either Florida one summer or South Carolina for a summer. This was the Florida summer. I drove down there. I didn't even have enough income to where I could book this stuff in advance. My credit was shot, so I didn't have really any good credit cards, so I had to wait till payday to rent my car, drive down to Florida for a 2-day weekend. It was the absolute worst weekend of my life. The kids probably enjoyed it for a moment, but it was just really punched me in the gut. And so on the way back from Orlando, we're driving back to Atlanta, and I'm looking in the rearview mirrors at the kids. Everybody's asleep. My wife's asleep. Like, man, I got to do better than this, man. I'm like, I'm in my 30s. My kids are going to be graduating high school soon. What can I do to make their lives better and teach them some better habits with their money? I got home literally after an 8-hour drive and started writing out my plans. Like, what's all my debt? What are all my obstacles? And start tackling that stuff. So that was the turning point for me.
And what was your education like?
Didn't graduate. I graduated high school, but didn't graduate college. So I went 1 year at college, community college. But I'm an avid reader, so I started reading all these things about money and finances. Just didn't apply it until that moment in my life to really get ahead.
Right, but your education growing up as far as money, it just sort of wasn't there. I mean, for me, I know that was the case.
Yeah, it wasn't there. Obviously, in school, we didn't have any type of money discussions. I had like an economics class, but nothing stuck from that conversation at all. My mom was a single mom, so she was always hustling. Never really even had a checking account like that until I was, almost out of high school. So I didn't really have a base for understanding that.
Right.
Other than my grandmother, who owned real estate, and then my dad's mom, my other grandmother, owned rental properties in New York during that time. So I kind of knew there's a better life out there. I just didn't understand the fundamentals.
Yeah, peripherally, you're like,
exactly.
Some people have something figured out.
Yes.
But I don't.
Yeah, right. So I got to get this figured out soon. So, But yeah, that's my passion, and I love helping people get over that hump.
Yeah, and it's hard as a father, right, to feel like, I know, up until, really this year is the first year that my wife and I are sort of feel like, there's some freedom to all this. Some of our debts getting paid off and filed away, our businesses are going okay.
You just said it, though, that feeling. Like,
it's
almost like it's a whole nother life over a 700 credit score, right? It's like you just feel like, okay, I don't have to stress about things. You can leverage things if you need to, and usually your money is a lot better at that point because you've started managing things better and paying your bills on time.
Yeah. And so since you're doing credit education, I'm sure you've seen some pretty tough situations now, right?
Yeah.
How much of your motivation right now is coming from helping other people solve their problems?
Oh, tremendous, because, I work with individuals that are kind of their first time home buyer scenario, so kind of helping them get to that first standing point where they can get approved for a loan. I work with people who have been in divorces and they make 200 grand a year, but their credit is shot, you know, and so seeing them come to me with the lowest point and then actually 6 months, 8 months, whatever it is later, to actually use their credit to leverage a house, a car, get out of debt, just to start their business.
Right.
Man, I love that. I love it. So that's what drives me every day.
Yeah, that's super powerful. For me, I know that education is huge, and I knew as soon as I learned something, really growing up in my life, as soon as I learned something, I sort of wanted to teach somebody.
There you go.
You know, is that similar to you? Did you, even if it wasn't money in the beginning, did you have other things that you love teaching and mentoring people?
It's so funny. A lot of people who've known me and before the transition, so to speak, like, you've always been motivating. You know, at the call center, I was the inspirational guy. I'm always, come on, guys, let's go, let's get it going. I had a business in early 2000 called Infinite Possibilities, where I was just doing these open mics in Atlanta, and these aspiring artists would come in, and, you know, just to see them on stage for the first time in their life was like, you know, I have something where I could give back to people and give them some inspiration to feel better about themselves. So yeah, I've always had that in me. Of course, now going through that journey and learning some exact steps, it's a lot easier to help people. You know, I've been there.
Right. So how about real estate? You're into single-family homes exclusively, or are you sort of playing the market?
I have been. So since 2015, we bought single-family properties. We fix them up and rent them out. All buy and hold strategy, right?
I love it.
In multiple parts of the country, Kansas City, San Antonio, Atlanta. But what happened was, again, I told you my grandmothers were both in real estate early on. So I was inspired to do this. And I'm old enough to remember the Carlton Sheets videos, or they would come on late at night. After 2 a.m., you get this guy who's talking about real estate, buy houses with no money down. And I just love that stuff, but I never pulled the trigger.
Right.
So 2015, ended up moving to Austin, Texas. I'm making more money. I'm out of debt for my stuff in Atlanta, and just started listening to different conversations. And a guy told me, hey, you thought about buying rental properties? I was like, no, I really haven't. Went to a seminar, you know, and that's how that all got going. And the first one went so smoothly that I was like, you know, I put 12 grand into this deal, and 2 years later, I pulled out $43,000. I'm like, I should do that some more.
Yeah, a couple times. Yeah.
So
rinse and repeat.
We just kept doing that, and so now, 2020, we are starting to do some multifamily deals.
Oh, really?
Yes,
that's exciting.
Moving into the next level.
Was it that first home purchase scary? Because so one thing I've noticed, actually, before I get into that, one thing I noticed is people that transition, you know, like you were living that 9-to-5 life, you had that inspiration, you had that motivation, you had some really cool things going for you. People were probably already seeing it, and then you step up and you say, I'm going to do this. Did people come out and say, you shouldn't do that? That's too risky. That's a gamble. That's scary. Well, you know, don't you know your aunt, whoever, she tried that and she's broke now.
Yeah, you sound like my dad. You know? And he's usually my biggest cheerleader, but he's like, man, you just got yourself together, man. Why are you going to dump money into this ugly house down there? I was like, trust me, I know what I'm doing. And of course now I'm the guy that's loaning family members money to close on houses and things like that. So it's a great feeling, but it also is great to know that, hey, just go for what you're going for. Follow your passion and don't let other people knock you off of it, man, because they will. They don't even have all the information and they're telling you it's not going to work. So just follow your own passion.
Yeah. So were you really hesitant on that first purchase?
I was not.
I
was gung-ho every step of the way. I had 10 years of I wanna. And so when the opportunity was there, I finally had some cash, finally had enough credit where I knew I could, you know, refinance out of that deal. I was gung-ho, man. There was nothing stopping me. And, you know, if there was any fear, I always tell people this, like, just keep doing what you're doing. Like, do it with the fear. And so that's what happened. I'm so grateful that I just kept going, man.
Yeah, a lot of people, the fear never goes away.
Yeah, it's there.
And especially if you're challenging yourself, right? So now you're moving into multifamily.
Exactly.
Those are bigger deals. There's a lot more due diligence that goes into those acquisitions.
Yeah.
Did you have a little bit of fear moving into that?
Well, we're doing our first one now. So now I just understand to just, again, do the due diligence, do the numbers, no emotions, and pull the trigger.
Right.
Don't wait. Like, just do it, you know, because especially in this market, you wait, somebody else gets the deal, and you're like, why did I do it? The numbers are right. So now we just pull the trigger. And we have a system where we kind of analyze everything. It's seamless. And so it's either going to work or it's not going to work.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I feel it's just a different feeling now. It's more like, let's just be more responsible. It's not even fear. It's just more like, let's just make sure we're doing the right thing based on all the checks that we like to check off, you know?
because the fear doesn't have a role in any of it at the end of the day anyway.
Absolutely not.
Right. It doesn't make any sense.
Fake. Yeah.
If you insert that, that's when you're doing the wrong thing.
Exactly.
When the fear's out of it, then you can make the decision.
That's it. Exactly.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, man.
So one thing, as soon as you were telling me about your businesses, is you started sounding like me a little bit. Like, I love a lot of things. I want to do a lot of things. And I'm really curious to know how you were juggling all of this. You know, you have a real estate business, you're doing the credit, all that other stuff. How do you find time for it?
Well, it's a whole lot of congruency. You know, the credit leads to helping people buy a house. My wife's a real estate agent in Dallas-Fort Worth, so I can help her with clients that come to her that are struggling to get the financing done. So, and it's not like I'm doing, 10,000 clients a day. Again, I have a system. We give them their action plan, and then I kind of touch base with them, and then in a month I look at the numbers. Okay, we got to jump on a call. So it's not like I got to do 8 hours a day with each client, but it is a situation where me helping with credit, it leads into those that are interested in doing real estate investing or something. And so
it's very symbiotic.
Exactly. It's extremely symbiotic. And so now with a lot of things that I do, I'm doing webinars and seminars, and of course we record it. And so now I can drop that into my online curriculum and sell courses around it. And so it's not as strenuous as it sounds, because I have, 5 or 6 clients that I'm coaching on a real estate thing. I might be working with 12 or 13 people on some credit stuff. And it's just not touching everybody at the same time.
Right.
So it's a very smooth process.
And I think it's a personality thing, too. I know, for example, today, my day, I was doing a little bit of real estate. I was handling phone calls from that. I was on a construction job site. I was talking to a title company about another idea of mine, And for me, it was all very natural, and it didn't even really feel like work. All of it seemed really fun to me. Like, I was hanging out with my construction friends, and I took some phone calls for stuff that I'm really interested in.
Exactly.
That's how it feels for you, right?
That's exactly how it feels for me. I mean, I still have controls around my schedule. And, I need to do from 8 to 10, I need to be doing my follow-ups, or I need to be looking at credit reports or whatever that is. And then maybe I take a break for a moment, take some phone calls. I'm usually at noon doing somebody's lunch and learn or a webinar or something. But it's all stuff that I love. And if I'm coming off of a credit file and something stands out to me, I can use that in my webinar. So, hey, guys, if you're struggling with student loans, maybe you should look at refinancing that or getting it consolidated so you can get out of that overutilization. Just different things that I can educate on based on what I just did 2 hours ago. And so it's exactly where I want to be. I don't have to always stick to that schedule either. As long as I'm ahead on my numbers, you know what? I'm going to take the afternoon off and go play golf with somebody.
I was gonna say, I mean? Are you really strict on that time blocking?
Yeah, I really am. Okay. But I also see my numbers and things, and so I know when I have gaps in my time where I can, you know what? I'm going to spend some time over here today because it is a detox. I need to get away from the computer screen and that kind of stuff. And so,
that is tough.
But I have a schedule, and I definitely follow my time blocks to make sure that I'm staying disciplined.
Yeah.
I don't have a boss. So, you gotta be your own boss, and you need to have those disciplines.
Yeah, it's really tempting for my wife because we work together every day, and that can be really tempting to just be like, the day over, you just want to go get lunch?
Yeah, exactly.
Margarita time? What are we doing now?
There's been a few of those. There's been a few of those.
I think we're getting past it a little bit, but there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of people that struggle with that and never get past it. They don't structure their days.
And I would say this too is, I can also get up at midnight, after maybe crashing for 2 hours, taking a nap.
Yeah.
Man, I'm inspired to do something and get working on something, or get working on a blog, or do some videos. Whatever I'm doing, I can do it at any time of the day. I don't have to be an 8 to 5 kind of worker.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'm hard in the mornings, easy afternoon, go back at it in the evenings. So it's just a matter of my own schedule.
That's perfect, man.
Yeah. I love my life.
Yeah, it's nice, right?
Yes, sir.
So one of the things I'm curious about is, what's the trajectory in your career? Just do more of the same, but do more of it harder, better, faster? Or do you have some big goals that you're working towards?
I do. So it all started initially as me putting a book out.
Okay.
And then the book turned into, hey, would you mind speaking to our group? And then out of the group, well, would you work with me with my credit to help me? And so that kind of all is how that progressed. I'm at the point now where I have some really good systems in place for me, and I got a couple of assistants that help me. But I do want to grow this and scale this business to where I don't have to be the direct source. I can coach some other people on maybe some of the credit things that I do, or even the real estate, and build some people up that way. and really grow a system and a team to where I don't have to be there doing everything physically. Again, I mentioned the online courses, so I would love to get the online school up and running where it's supporting itself and some of the other things that I do, and still give value to people. Like, I'm not just trying to autopilot my life and then go away from it, but I want to still help people take that transition in their life. But I can see the next 2 years growing into a situation where I have some teams in place in other cities, working with people locally, and maybe I just fly in and do a monthly webinar or, you know, something to kind of touch people there. But
step off the jet,
and some training.
Wave people.
That's right. All right. Hello, folks. How are you down there? You know, that type of thing. But yeah, I just love to inspire people, man. And so I want to do more speaking and grow that part of my career while I still have the systems in place to help people with credit, real estate investing. So yeah.
Do you have strategies for how you become a good public speaker? I'm curious. So I've been thinking about this a lot.
Yeah.
Not that I really want to become a public speaker, but I think it's really important for anyone who's going to be a successful business owner, managing people, to be able to stand up confidently in front of a crowd of people and clearly convey your intentions.
Yes. Practice. Practice. I've been public speaking since 17 years old. I didn't realize that was a calling for me, but I got thrust in front of a group of 100 grown-ups and was talking about why it was important to go to black colleges at that time. That turned into me speaking, of course, in a corporate setting with my teams and for the companies that I worked for. And then, again, 2001-ish, I started hosting an event in Atlanta, and that's when I really realized, you know, I'm okay behind a microphone. Let me go get some professional training, you know, and do some things.
You did do
so I did some professional training on speaking, presenting, and again, just being, when I got the training, then I came back to my own natural self, because I don't want to be a speaker that looks like somebody else. I still want my own natural feel and flavor.
Right.
But now when I get asked to speak somewhere, I still put together all my PowerPoints, whatever I'm doing, and I'm doing that speech probably 15 to 20 times in my mirror, you know, because I need to see what you're seeing when I'm talking, not just what I want to deliver, right? And so a lot of times, especially now with videos, I do a lot of videos on social media. I watch those videos over and over again, my own content, to see, well, what if I'm somebody who's not familiar with Victor? And how did that message come across to them? Does it seem salesy? Does it seem genuine?
Condescending?
Does it feel, exactly. Do I feel like I'm talking down to them? And so I study that a lot. It's really important to me to come across as somebody who's just a normal dude.
I mean, that's a really good point. My wife is always telling me, she's like, Logan, a lot of people think you're a dick. I mean, she'll come around and say, yeah, all the time. I'm like, I feel like I'm not. She's like, you don't ever look at yourself. So that's really important to recognize that in public speaking, that's the key fact. That's the only thing that matters, really. It doesn't matter how you feel about yourself when you're up there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. You got to study the stuff and practice.
Right. Mm-hmm. So for you, you're scaling, you're growing. What's your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan? Is all that sort of lined out? Are you a vision board?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. So 5 years from now, I'll have a 20-unit apartment complex. I'll be managing that, you know, through systems and processes. I'll have our Proven Pathways Academy up and running very strong, to where people are coming in and graduating out of there and feeling good about the information that they have and becoming real estate investors, or they're improving their credit. I'll be doing a whole lot more public speaking all over the world. Greece, some of my favorite places, Caribbean, wherever.
There you go.
And I can, as a business can. But speaking and still feeling like I'm making an impact while making
because you are, you don't have to feel you are.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's the 5-year goal, and of course supporting my wife. She's in real estate, so getting her business. She's got a company that she started now, and I got some kids around me that are now grown-ups, and so whatever they decide they want to do, I want to be there for them. Right. With that.
Hopefully a lot of time with grandkids and stuff like that.
I already got one and another one on the way, man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So you picked some really competitive fields, right? Especially in education, because there is gurus that'll teach you everything about real estate, credit repair. I mean, obviously I've had issues. Everybody's had issues with credit, so I've gone on YouTube and been like, how do I, deal with this false and a billion videos. How are you gonna get your face there? Is it just persistence? I mean, what is it that makes you stand out?
The people who want to talk with me, who want to get help from somebody who's been there and done it, they're gonna reach out to me.
Right.
I really can't worry about competing against anybody. I'm competing against me and who I was last month and the numbers that I had last month. And did I really make an impact on the clients that came to me over the last several months? I'm fortunate that I'm in a space financially that I don't have to worry about. I gotta get 17 more clients, or I'm not gonna eat. I'm gonna lose a house.
Yeah.
Nah, man, those days are done, man. I'm more about who needs help. Well, do you get a good vibe from me? You feel like you can learn from me? Let me help you. You know, and if so, great. Let's do it. Let's get it done. But I'm not a super competitive guy from a sales standpoint.
Right.
I want to compete with myself and where I was last month and where my business was last month. And so I don't worry about those guys. And then, as we just said, when you go look at those YouTube videos, 9 out of the 10 videos, you're going to, oh, this guy's just trying to sell a course. So he doesn't care about whether I get a result from him or not. You know? And so that really matters to me. Like, results really matter to me. And so being able to work with somebody, I want them to pick me as opposed to me trying to pick them.
So I'm guessing a lot of the people you work with are referral.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I would say 80-something% of my business comes from referrals.
And I feel like that's so important when you're talking about other people's finances. Yeah. You know, they don't want to go to somebody that's not tried and true. They really want to work with somebody that somebody said he's really good.
Right. And, you know, I think it's important that I do a lot of social media, so I have like a Mindset Monday, a Wealthy Wednesday, Finance Friday. So I'm dropping content regularly, and I've been doing this for like 2 years. So anybody who's kind of followed, they've had a chance to see me on all of those days, my different looks. Do I feel genuine? And then get on a phone call with me. Just, do I sound like the same dude? You know, and so I think a lot of people see that, and I don't have a problem sharing the problems that I've been in my life. And so sometimes that resonates with people, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's funny because most people, when they do social media, you're just like, okay, that's not you.
Right.
I don't even have to see it. I already know that you're genuine on your social media.
Oh, man. It's the only way I know. I'm not a great liar, so I just something was on my mind. Let me go ahead and drop that content. Or, you know, we do calendars and stuff like that. But
well, yeah, you want
it's
it
all
to be
based
structured.
Around, yeah, exactly. But it's still based around the strong points that I have. And it's just if I can add value to you.
Yeah. So your home is Dallas, Fort Worth. You're going to stay here permanently, or are you thinking elsewhere? I know, other than traveling.
So, of course, my wife was born and raised in Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta. My kids were born in Atlanta. We traveled there, well, pre-COVID. We were there 3 times a year. Now probably once a year still. But we have a couple rental properties still in Atlanta. My wife jokingly, seriously says, hey, we'll probably move back in one of those one day. Yeah. I think maybe in 5 years or 6 years we may end up moving back, especially as the grandkids start coming up a little bit.
Yeah.
We want to be around family.
Cool. So who are you looking to for motivation right now?
Wow.
Yeah, who are the people that you see? For me, I know I'm a big Goggins fan. I love David Goggins. A lot of like podcast people, Jocko Willing, people that like really make you feel like you're not even trying. You know, those are the people that I love. Are there anyone that you look up to on a daily basis that provides you some motivation?
There's a guy, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. He wrote, so Think and Grow Rich. Everybody knows the Napoleon Hill version. But Napoleon Hill endorsed him to do a black version of this book back in like 1991. It's really the second book that I read completely. And since 1991, I have read that book probably 80 times. And so I always follow him on YouTube, and there's some close friends of mine that actually have had him as guest speakers for their events. So that day's coming where I'll shake his hand, meet him, and probably get an opportunity. But I am extremely inspired by Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. When he does his speeches, he's a money coach kind of guy. He's I believe he's also still an instructor at Spelman College or Morehouse College in Atlanta. And so he still has this energy. I guess he gets it from the youth around him. He just got this great energy. This guy's like in his 60s. Yeah, but it's still so motivating. And so I love watching him on video. So he inspires me. He really inspires me.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like that guy.
Yeah, so you're probably, are you active in mentorship at all? You know, I know you're obviously doing some education on credit. Is that starting with high schoolers? You know, where do you start that?
So we spun off a program called Create Your Future Self Youth Program. And with that, I have some contracts with Carrollton, Farmers Branch, ISD, so I'll do some stuff with the high schools there. Every quarter I do a thing where I'm just teaching kids about money, credit. I'll bring in some other experts that might be good with drones and AI stuff, or somebody else is good with banking or something else, you know, and so I'll bring in these experts And we teach kids for 5 days, 2 hours a day, and we just go through some different elements of, we're really teaching them how to become owners, to have a mentality of ownership instead of working for somebody else, right?
Right.
So DFW Entrepreneur Mastermind. And so we're teaching kids how to start thinking right out the gate about owning something, owning a house, owning your property, owning the cars that you get. Like, don't finance this stuff. Start building some wealth through ownership so that way you can build a legacy. And so really passionate about that. That program, we recorded, of course, and so that's available if schools want to buy that just to kind of watch that whole program.
It's necessary. I can't
It's
believe it's not
important, man. I'm telling you.
mandatory.
It is. It's really important. And so we get great feedback from the kids, even though it's virtual most of the time. We use a thing called Kahoot, so there's a lot of gaming and stuff going on. And the kids really love that they're learning, and they can win some prizes, of course. We kind of keep it that way where they can win a $100 gift card or something. But more importantly, they understand that for every dollar that I make, I need to put 20 cents up. And don't even think about that money for several years, and let that compound interest start growing. And so we teach kids about that before they get into debt and all that stuff down the line.
Because it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, it's extremely predatory.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about this probably 1,000 times, but I remember my first day of college. I mean, most college kids are idiots. You know, they know nothing.
Of course.
When I showed up at college, there was Bank of America, Chase Bank, and Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
They had 3 stands, and they were handing out credit cards to every single kid.
Kiosk is right there on campus. You know, it's crazy. And the kids think, they just gave me $500. No, they didn't give you anything, man. You just inherited $2,500 worth of interest because you're not going to pay that till you get out of college probably. So it's just, we teach them those elements. And, you know, hopefully we're really thankful that a lot of times the kids kind of have their moms and dads looking over their shoulders and like, hey, I didn't know that about credit or whatever. And so it helps the family. It's educating the family, not just the kids.
And it's generational change, right? You know, you're probably helping people that have been in this cycle for a long time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, we pass down a lot of traditions in life, right? You know, we pass down, well, you and your dad have that same look or you do this same thing, but we also manage our money that same way. Our health habits, a lot of times, our traditions. Exactly. Sleeping. All of that is handed down because you're a product of the environment that you're around. And so if your environment is not supporting good spending habits, good eating habits, good exercise habits, you end up falling right into the same room. And so we try to break that chain for sure.
Yeah. And that's work that is going to outlive you.
I
commend you on that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me.
Do you have any big success stories that you're really proud of that you might want to brag on a little bit?
I worked with a young lady. I have a program called the Executive Program where I'm helping some entrepreneurs. I don't really promote it a lot, but people that know that I've started businesses, they're like, hey, can you kind of help me? And so I'll coach them along. There's this one young lady. She has all the right information, but doesn't know how to apply it to get where she's trying to go. So I just ask the right questions, get her to start thinking differently. 6 months go by, this girl's got her own business started. She's generating great revenue month over month. Those are the type of things I love, man, because 9 months ago, she was just a mesh of information in her head and didn't know how to put it together. And so
no plan.
I love those type of things. Helping this young lady last year, she's making good money at her job, 28 years old. I think she's making probably about 90 grand a year, wants to buy her first house. I said, well, have you thought about buying a duplex? You know, you can still take advantage of that primary residence down payment of 3.5%, whatever FHA, but now you got somebody else paying the mortgage for you, renting on the side. She did it. And she's like, oh my God, I pay like $6 a month for my note.
I've been telling my little stepbrother to do that forever.
Yeah, man. It's a great way to house hack. And the people don't even know that she owns the place.
Yeah.
She's got a little rent service going. So I'm like, look, you're not even 30 yet. And you own property. And every month you're getting richer and richer. So those are the type of stories I love to hear.
Again, generational change.
That's it. Absolutely.
That's incredible. So there's work, running out of time getting the notice here. The one question that I like to finish on is, well, two, if you can answer one quickly. Okay. So one is, someone's going to come to you, and they probably already have a bunch of times, so you might already have this memorized, but when someone comes to you and says, I'm interested in starting my own business, I want to be an entrepreneur like you, what's your one piece of advice that you think would really help them achieve that goal?
I always want to know, why do you want to own your own business? Because it's not for everybody. We just talked about the awkwardness with the hours and schedule. if you're not disciplined, this may not be the way for you to go. At least not yet.
Right.
So I always want to know, why do you want to start business? Is it for the money? Well, you can find a lot of ways to make money without being an entrepreneur.
Right.
You don't have to trade off those hours to do that. The next thing is I want to know is, well, where do you see yourself in 5 years with that business? Is this something that you want to just build up and then sell it off? Is that the motivation? Or is this something that you want to impact the community on? That matters. Like, the why really matters, because that'll determine not only your start, but that rough patch that we all as entrepreneurs go through. It'll carry you through that, because you're like, no, I really want to help the community. Or no, I really got to get this business to that point so I can sell it off.
Yeah.
So I really need to know why you want to go into business for yourself. You can do the same type of activities working for somebody else and make great money if that's what you want to do, and
right.
especially if you don't have great controls and disciplines around your own life. Because being an entrepreneur, you can find yourself being dead broke, all your credit cards maxed out, and you haven't made a nickel, but you're an entrepreneur, you got the title, so what's the real reason why you want to get into business?
Yeah, and I think people can smell that on you too.
Mm-hmm.
If your only reason is to get rich,
mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people don't want to work with you.
Absolutely.
All right, last question. And you'll have to be quick.
Yes, sir.
When will you feel like you've made it? When is your retirement, right? So it sounds like you're already pretty
mm-hmm.
comfortable right now.
Mm-hmm.
Are you thinking that there's a certain amount you want to make or a certain thing that you need to own? Or is it really just, man, this is my trajectory until I'm too hobbled and, replace both hips?
Well, the initial goal was to generate enough passive income to cover my monthly expenses. Mission accomplished. The next goal was to try to build something to where when I pass, should I pass, that my kids and grandkids at least have a good starting base for something. So mission accomplished there. I've got some properties in my daughter's name, granddaughter's name. So I guess the next big thing is just continue to build wealth, and also be in a position where my wife and her business is now supporting herself 100%. I'm gonna still take care of my wife, but I need her to feel confident that she built that thing up to the point where it's sustaining on its own. So my goals are not to be, $5 million in the bank necessarily. That'd be great.
Sure.
But it's more based around the security for my family. Mm-hmm. And so I'm very close to that. I'd say if there is a cash goal, it would be probably about $500,000, solid cash somewhere sitting around that I don't even have to touch anywhere. That would be a good goal.
Then you let your rental work for you.
So we're getting there. Yeah, we're getting there.
Man. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Logan. I appreciate it, man. It's been good.
All right.
Thanks for this coffee.
Yeah, it's delicious.